The 9th pick goes to the Toronto Raptors. The 2nd pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA Draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Get out your tinfoil hats. The Dallas Mavericks have won the NBA Draft Lottery.
Rigged.
This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, Jevohn, Fab, Wes big timed us.
Yeah,
he did. He's got Sports Center to do. Cool. So Jevohn joining us. Thank you as always. And let's just open it up to you. Raptors will be picking 9th. How you feeling?
Listen, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm hurt, disappointed. I'm gutted like everybody else. I feel like it almost feels like a loss when you drop 2 spots in what was potentially supposed to be a 7th or above pick. But all hope isn't lost, and I'm trying to keep myself up right now.
You were so sad when it was announced.
I was hurt. I'm still hurt because it gives you hope, right? If you're looking at this draft, it's a star-studded draft, a lot of talent in this draft. Top heavy, yes, but also some depth to this draft as well.
Could have changed the outlook for their season next 3-5 years, right? And then now it's like you didn't even stay put. You moved down. Yeah. And now we're talking like Jonathan Givony from ESPN just came out with a mock draft. Our boy Malawach is
Malawach is a dream that we can no longer get.
It's only a dream now.
So I'll add to that. When I say all hope isn't lost, right? You look at this draft and all the prospects. If you're looking at 1, obviously Cooper is your clear-cut 1. But 2 through 8, right now, it's all scoring guards and scoring wings, right? So for the Raptors, if you're talking about positional need, the top 2 centers should still be available at 9, right? When you think about guys like Queen and Malawach and so forth, you can still get better in this draft. And I think it's not all hope isn't lost. It's not all bad.
Givony had Queen at 11. And
maybe we can look at pull up the Givony.
Malawach was going still at 7.
Well, we bring up Malawach because we talked about him ad nauseum on this pod.
But
he kind of fits what we do.
It's a perfect fit for what the Raptors.
I said this in the room where that went down. We were watching the lottery and Jevohn was sad and walked out the room. Fab, I think, threw his hat on the floor. It was emotional. It was emotional. I think the Raptors might I think this gives them more carte blanche to reach, to actually identify a guy that may not be, right now touted to go top 10. I think this is, Raptors pride themselves on their draft equity. They've done it before. I think this now removes a lot of the pressure.
Yes.
I think you had said that about them getting a top pick. You're kind of cornered into a selection that all of the mocks kind of agree.
But that becomes tougher. Like a top 4 pick in this draft, there's a lot of pressure there because it's also a no-miss draft. You look at this one, some of those guys that I would be looking at 9. Kaman Malawach, Joan Berger out of France, a lot of potential, very raw, but he's 2 years away from being 2 years away, but still what you need. Thomas Sorber, right, out of Georgetown, and obviously Derek Queen. But if you can add, let's think about this. The Raptors also safeguarded against this very situation by acquiring Brandon Ingram midseason, right? They rose their floor. Now, to me, if you can get a backup center that can give you some rim protection, but also potentially stretch the floor a bit, now you've also raised the ceiling of this team, right? And then you're having the conversation of what does the East look like? 6 through 10 in the East, still relatively weak. So this team does get better.
Well, and the other teams in the East who were supposed to get the top pick also struck out. So the Wizards.
Well, not Philly, though.
Not Philly.
Well, okay, Philly got 3, but the Wizards struck out. The Hornets got 4th. They didn't do well either. But one thing's for sure, the Raps scouting can burn the Rutgers tape. They can burn the Baylor tape because none of that's going to matter.
Don't burn the Duke tape. It might be Concanipple season.
Yeah, listen, I think the way it's...
All right, you can stop there.
So, real quick though, just you mentioned Queen and rim protection. I have not watched Queen a ton. I wonder what his NBA, how he fits in the NBA. He doesn't really look like he has a what is he in the NBA?
You and everybody else.
Yeah, I think we're past the times of looking at guys' body and their game and saying they won't translate to the NBA, right? I think sometimes you just need guys that can hoop, right? Toss them the basketball and make things happen. But a guy like Queen, I think it changes how you coach systematically. If you're Coach Darko, he's not a guy you're going to put at the elbow and just say, here, pass. And you want to pair him with Scotty. It wouldn't work like that, right? You need to get him to rock and let him play. He wouldn't be my first choice, for this team in terms of fit. I think we've all touched on it. We've all alluded to it. Raptors fans and probably the front office would probably be happy with a Malawak.
Yeah.
But, Queen would be, your second best option.
If I'm looking at it right now, so Jevohn has Colin Murray-Boyles going to the Raptors. So if I'm looking at it, we're talking players you can draft that can be on your team in the playoffs, Game 7, final 6 minutes on the floor. You identify players like that, and that's who you go after. In my opinion, that's how I would build a team. So I'm looking at defense first. Can you guard? And I would almost put shooting and IQ as a tie, right? Because you got to be able to think the game at a high level.
Con Knippelstock. It's going up.
I said guard.
Happen.
And shooting. And you're watching someone like Alex Caruso right now on the Thunder. Shot is it wanes, but he can guard the best of them right now.
You can put him on the court in the last 5 minutes of the playoff game, and he's going to be fine.
Swiss Army knife, and he can shoot.
I think those guys, all these picks are still going to have to learn a lot, right? Because even Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, he got measured. What was it? Ace measured at 6'7" from a guy
a little bit shorter than he was supposed to be. People were saying he was 6'9", 6'10" wing, but he's not.
So some of those guys, they may even drop in this draft. To your point, you want to look at guys that have winning ability, winning culture, winning intangibles. But
can you guard?
I think you still have to learn that, because those two right there are probably going to be in your top 5 picks, right? And those guys at Rutgers lost to Kennesaw State this year.
Yeah.
So if you're projecting them, are you saying they're winners right now? Probably not. But can you learn to win at the NBA level?
But so here's my thing: if you're looking at the Raptors now, are you trying to just go for fit, or are you still trying to go for BPA? Because what if you're left with a Fears, Trey Johnson? You want a guard? Are you trying to bring a guard into this, this rotation of guys who need the ball already? You have Quickly, you have Barrett,
how
you have Barnes.
To your core, though?
Well, that's
the questions that are going to be asked this
offseason.
So
that's my question is a trade coming if you do end up with one? There's a lot to answer, because if you are high on a guard or one of these guards, that might mean a move for someone else.
Depends what you think the Raptors ceiling is. I threw out a name like Caruso. I'm throwing out names of guys who I'm like, can you just play defense? We've seen now in the playoffs what matters the most. I can't get it out of my head, right? We're talking about OG Anunoby. Knicks might make the conference finals. Raptors had him, and they gave him away. My thing is, with me, if I'm looking to draft, it's best player available. And I understand the Raptors' need is center, but I don't know if I can go to war. I don't know if guys like RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly are going to take this Raptors team, this iteration, to great heights, to the conference finals, to the finals.
To give them, I want to put myself in a position. First, I got to take one step forward before we start talking about conference finals, and so forth. But I want to give those guys, equip them with a center, some rim protection, so that they can appear to be better defenders.
We have Pirtle.
Right? Pirtle's not a rim protector.
Not
right?
very
You don't
good at
fear Pirtle around. He does great things, but you don't fear him when you get into the paint. Right? And I also, to your point, I don't think that you add another combo or another, tweener, 2-3, 1-2-3 guy that can score the basketball at a high volume, but is an inconsistent shooter, is going to make this team better. Right? RJ, IQ, all these guys will look like better defenders once you have somebody behind them that can
tie everything together,
right, tie it all together, and then you start looking at the team a little bit different.
So do you think, would you value then the fit of a rim protector and a big over best player available?
I would value the rim protector, somebody that can rebound, somebody that could anchor your defense, but also somebody that could potentially stretch the floor, because when you're looking at Pirtle at the 5, right, he's the only real 5 we have right now. He does not stretch the floor.
Yeah.
When Coach Darko wants to play, these elbows and the splits off of chin, it works for Denver because they have a scoring threat in Jokic at that 5 position. Can stretch the floor, can pass, can do a number of things. It gets a little stagnant for the Raptors when you have Pirtle that's not really a scoring threat with the ball in his hands. He's more of a scoring threat when he's rolling to the basket in those short rolls and so forth. So for me, it's, fill that void and then let's evaluate.
I look at the Raptors roster, and again, I'll keep reiterating this. I worry about how often they can get picked on in certain positions, right? So you got Manuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick. These guys need to prove that they can still defend. So right away, they got weaknesses. I agree with you. They need to take incremental steps first. We're talking NBA Finals, your conference, all that stuff. That's where ultimately, that's the goal. But Let's get there
Make the
first.
playoffs first.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yes.
I agree with that. But like, if you're building a team, how is that not the thing that like enters your mind, right? Like as you're storing, you need to shore up some of these guys. Raptors' whole identity a couple years ago was just stop 6'9" guys, stock wings because that's the most important position. Best player available, versatility, guys who can guard, guys who can do stuff with the ball.
I think you don't look too far ahead because every year the NBA changes, right? If Boston doesn't win, this year,
Fair point.
then how you view the NBA and what success is changes. So you've got to take that first step forward and then tweak the roster.
And
later.
bigs were like obsolete when the Warriors were winning.
Yeah,
Everyone's
now
like,
it's the
we're
most
going
important
away
thing.
from it. And now you need bigs and you need big man depth.
Do you not agree that they need size?
They need
Like
size.
I think the Raptors are kind of a small team.
Well, so-
here. Like I don't want to come away with this draft with like another smallish type of
Well,
guard.
yeah,
who
but
can't
look at
defend.
like you just took Jacoby Walter, you just took Grady Dick. Like
You also, to your point, you also now have a plethora of wings that you could potentially put together.
we haven't even
Together
mentioned
a little pack.
we haven't mentioned Brandon Ingram. Like
But
we haven't
wait,
mentioned Ingram.
How much is this team played really good defense for like a 2.5 month stretch? How serious are we taking that?
The Lakers played really good defense for like month and a half,
But
and they got
Davis
exposed.
was a part of like those.
No,
2
I'm talking
weeks.
about post when they got Luka. Like,
Yes, it was like.
I think to me, regular season sample size, anything like after the
Especially
All Star
when March
break
is
is
fool's
just
gold, but, like,
yeah.
Again,
They played a
it
little-
goes back to we're forgetting a key element. You don't have that last ingredient to put it together. You have defenders that can defend at your point of attack. You have Scotty, right? You have who else we have at that point of attack there? Shed. You got Jamal Shed.
Well,
right?
Abaji.
Abaji.
Okay,
Point of
he's a
attack.
defender, yeah.
So now when you shore up the last line of defense, it looks completely different. Now there's not as much pressure on those wing guys because you're switching everything.
Dropped off quick after
Right? You're
Scotty.
switching. No.
He's like, oh, you have Jamal Shed, your second round pick last year. That's my main concern. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. I want dogs. I want guys who can guard. I think to me,
Davion's gone, man. You'll get over it eventually.
he's a dog, man. He actually did well in Miami.
He did awesome with the Heat.
Until they rolled over to the Cavs, who are
Yeah, now
rolling over to the Pacers.
So in the bigger picture of things, losing more games didn't really matter, did it?
No.
Because all the
not at all.
teams that were at the bottom didn't even get the top pick.
That is a good thing. That's a great thing because I think the NBA has gotten to this place where the last 3 months of the season, what are we watching?
It's hard to watch.
Right? So now you look at the last 2 years, those teams haven't been rewarded. So play basketball.
But hold on. But Philly, though, on the other hand, they
got
tanked
rewarded.
unethically, and they said, we don't give a and we are just going to lose games. And they were greatly rewarded. And now, with this offseason could have been a disaster where you don't know what you have. Now they're coming in positive. We have the number 3 pick.
Yeah, and we said this before. I mean, if the Raptors did lose more games, they would have at least locked themselves into 7th or better,
exactly.
and not 9,
Where you might get Malowich.
which could make a big difference. But the top 2 picks are San Antonio and Dallas.
Yeah.
Who had that on?
Yep.
Who had them getting the first 2?
What a joke.
Which is the perfect transition.
What a joke, man.
Is the fix in? Was the envelope frozen? Let's talk Mavs, because this is kind of crazy.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Nico kind of got a mulligan.
Yeah, he did.
He can do his victory lap. He got life again. Like
know
he has
what?
a second life now.
It's what the quote from The Wire: "Deserve ain't got nothing to do
Yeah,
with it."
yeah.
You know, Nico Harrison did not deserve Cooper Flag. He made one of the most outrageous trades of all time, and now Dallas has a superstar handed to them. 1.8% chance.
Dallas didn't deserve Cooper Flag. The 76ers deserve to lose their pick.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the Spurs deserve to get second overall. Like,
Oh, but that's good. But for the sake of
listen, okay.
that's awesome that the Spurs got the
It's
second
good
round pick
for
because now we get
theater.
to watch a great player go with Wemby and Castle and Fox, and that's next year.
And you
Is
know
that a
what?
55-win team?
If they don't trade that player.
Don't sleep
Yeah,
on them
Giannis.
right
Let's
now.
talk Giannis.
They got a lot of assets there to move and make some moves. You got KD on the market. You also got Giannis, who's flirting with the idea.
They have the assets to get both of those guys if they wanted to. I don't know how salary if that makes
It's
sense.
very interesting to see how much the Spurs value too, and if they really love Harper, because you do have Castle, you do have Fox. So do you want to bring him in and ease him into the Spurs kind of way of doing things, or are they going to feel bullish about trading that pick?
Let's just talk Giannis. Realistically, what do you have to give up? Is it Castle 2 and what? Sohan for salary?
Castle in 2 is already,
Castle's
I think,
a ton. Castle's a
pretty
ton.
hefty. If I'm the Bucks, I'm jumping at that.
Yeah.
Like you rebuild on the fly.
You need to match the
instantaneously.
salary.
You have a
though.
starting-
need to throw
you have a-
Philly.
I don't know if I would do that if I was the Spurs.
You have a starting backcourt already.
Yeah, exactly.
You have Harper,
You wouldn't
Castle.
do that.
I mean,
You wouldn't do
if
that
I'm the
because
Spurs?
is it more of a? I think the way
I would
Wemby
trade
shoots,
one
you
of
could
them.
the fit, I think, can be fine.
I would, if I'm the Spurs, I hold out to trade one of them. I think to me, second overall pick, Devin Vassell, sure, salary filler.
So you think that is a little too much?
Castle and the second overall pick.
No,
It's Giannis, man. It's still
It's
Giannis.
Giannis.
I know.
I'll say this for
know.
me when you have these guys that are approaching, mid 30s, anything over 30, I have a lot of reservation there because Father Time is undefeated. Yes, it's Giannis, and now you're seeing even KD. He's becoming a journeyman, right, and playing exceptionally. But at the same time, this is a young man's game. You look at LeBron; his numbers are great, but it's up and down.
He was the only one who cared defensively for that Lakers team, and
his output just wasn't there.
But LeBron's like a one of one, right? Like one of two.
So even KD, I don't think the price to get KD is that expensive.
It probably wouldn't be nearly expensive as Giannis.
And I would love that. Him going to
the only argument I think for like San Antonio is that you still have Wemby on a rookie contract. Mm-hmm. You can stack some contracts here that are like around him to maximize this window. It's kind of like a QB that you draft that's like on lower salary. If you can fit
OKC's doing the same thing though. And
they are,
eventually it turns into an arms race. And what if OKC says, "Cool, you're not doing it. We were gonna."
What happens with Chet? What happens with J-Dub on top of Shea? Like, I think to me, it's now you pounce.
Well, that's a good point because if OKC gets eliminated,
they're
Denver, they might be looking at a big move, and they have a war chest of like whatever you want.
I look forward to that. I look forward to a potential arms race. That to me is great theater. It's just Spurs. They've won. They own the 2 last Rookie of the Years. They have Wembanyama. Like they luck out again. Like I actually feel bad for the Wizards and the Jazz. The Jazz were paying fines out their ass.
Hold on,
but Jazz are gonna get Con Knuckle, man. That's the guy
you can have it. Take him, man.
They want
Well, yeah, it's the con man. Okay, listen, man. I think Dallas getting the first overall pick is bull. All right, like that is a fair statement to make. Like I feel like it's undeserved. Philly keeping their pick, bull. The whole thing is. I hate it. I really despise it.
Whatever you say, it's great for the NBA. It's also going to be
amazing. It's
going to be great for Cooper because look at his path, right? Montverde, Duke, and now Dallas. Those are all high pressure situations. When you talk about his development, when you talk about him now going into a team that their window is very slim. Man, right?
You're assuming Nico's going to take Cooper.
No, he wants to. He wants to see the ball, right? He's got a second chance at life.
I don't think Nico has a choice. I don't even think he can decide if he wanted to not take.
A lovely little Duke reunion. You got Lively, you got Kyrie, you got Flag.
Oh yeah.
But that's not that. It's going to be good for Cooper to go into a situation where he's going to learn how to win now. He's going to be in playoff situations right away. And there's guys that get drafted. And they play 4, 5, 6 years before they even get a sniff at the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's not going in there like you have to carry this franchise from day one. There's already established guys who've won rings.
The biggest winner tonight is Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
You get to be a stud on a team that is a contender. Like Spurs, I'll put him in contender status next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing that with Wembanyama.
Mavs,
Spurs, and Sixers,
but here's the interesting
all
thing,
contenders.
The good thing that, like you said, to add on to your point, the fact that Nico is under so much pressure because of how it went with Luka, they need to start winning next year.
Did you see how high this man jumped as soon as they got the number one?
The
pressure. There's no more pressure.
Roll the video. Yeah, Connor, roll the video for sure.
Hey, man, he said defense wins championships. Cooper from guard. What I wanted to say, though, was the biggest loser is the rest of the West. Somehow we already have this very unbalanced NBA, and Cooper Flag is now headed to the West, and the second overall pick is headed to the West.
And if you're a Raptors fan, you avoided Cooper in your division by not going to the Sixers.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Philly was for the Raptors' perspective. Philly would have been the worst option by far.
Let's talk about Philly because third pick, it's so hard to project next year without knowing what version of Embiid we're getting.
Of course.
But if you get a good version of Embiid, this was a team that was projected to win 55 games this year.
Yep.
So if Embiid is legit and you had the third pick and
Maxey.
No, the dude they draft. Who am I thinking of? The guy they drafted. McCain. Yeah, another Duke guy.
Yeah.
That's an unreal nucleus.
How are you not draped in blue right now?
I know.
Man?
Sorry, man.
Loves Duke, man.
Well,
if I'm Philly, I hope that Ace Bailey is not taken before. I think he's the one that fits right there because you have
Paul George Light.
Well, PG, you gotta figure it out. I think for them it's you got McCain, you got Maxey, so your 1 and 2 is essentially covered, right? Mm-hmm. If they can get a 3, and obviously with PG there, this would be a perfect situation to build and develop and throw Ace Bailey out there as a backup. He can play minutes 2 or 3 and be in a winning situation as well.
An elite role player around, assuming a healthy Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. I think, Paul George.
And a succession plan for PG.
Yeah.
Well, and all jokes aside, I mean, PG would be a good guy for Bailey to learn from.
Of course.
Right? Same kind of body type. And...
Outside of the winning.
Well, I mean, learn the podcast.
Let's wrap it up on one positive note, and that is the last 3 times the Raptors picked.
Yeah, I had it too. I had it. Let's go.
Jevohn, do you know this one?
T-Mac. Pirtle. I'm missing one.
DeMar.
I empty the clip, man.
So I mean, if you're talking yourself into the 9th pick, then 3 pretty good picks at 9 for Toronto. So
I would say 2, like for sure. Like I don't know, is
that's some balls of a good.
I was gonna ask a question of like I don't think DeMar's a Hall of Famer, but the NBA Hall of Fame is like
it's anyone makes it.
But like like that's like 2 Hall of Famers
DeMar's a Hall of Famer.
and a Pirtle.
DeMar's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. All right, that's it for us. Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.